Hello everyone, Justin with Deep Dive Stocks here, and today we're going to be doing another After Hours Market Dive. You can see here, we're looking at NVDA on the 15 minute. I figured that might be an interesting thing to watch as it's happening, but not interesting enough maybe to go live, but here we are with the video. And we can see so current conditions are we were pretty bearish going into earnings right as market closed, but we see right as earnings start, we get this bullish push. We're now testing the support or the resistance here. There's two of them. We got LDPM L5 and LDPM L6, so we're testing above that. And it's a tentatively bullish outlook, right? So if this makes it above, then and LDPS continues showing a nice eager bid, any sort of bullish liquidity, then the expectation is that it's going to keep going up. So the expectation here is a nice little movement past these resistances, and we do kind of want that to happen, sooner rather than later. We don't want too much of that bullish liquidity going into getting past those resistances more than, we want to have a little bit of a nice bullish oomph for after we rise above those. So we'll probably check back on this later, but we can see it's moving. Let's add some liquidity levels. So that's pretty bearish liquidity levels. So that kind of means that so we have this bullish LDPS testing this resistance, and we have this pretty negative liquidity level. And so it kind of tells us that this bullish liquidity here is kind of candle specific. Like there's an event occurring in this candle that is pushing liquidity bearish. And see, we're already kind of not looking too hot on being able to get above those resistances. Because remember, if you've been watching these past few videos we've been doing, like I said, we really want that the bullish liquidity to kind of not be spent completely on getting over those resistances. So a little concerned for like a weak candle specific liquidity here, especially because of how negative we see the liquidity amount and the liquidity flow being. You prefer to have a nice positive amount, meaning there's been bullish support, like there's a bullish momentum, there's bullish flowing into the price action, whereas currently we really only have one candle that is currently failed to cross over this resistance. And we don't have any evidence that there's been a flow of bullish liquidity, rather that this bullish liquidity is sort of alone in its candle placement here. So tentatively, you want to go bullish, but just watching this in real time and its inability currently to move above that resistance is a little would be concerning for me. If I was long, I might start sizing down out of that. So there we go. We have that bearish start popping through. So it's probably going to definitely be a failed, an aggressive, eager bid came in, tried to push up to that resistance. These resistances, they absorbed it. There's been no precedence of bullish activity and bullish flow. And so seems to be a pretty one-off instance right here. So we'll come back to that. Let's take a quick peek at ES futures on the 15 minutes. So let's start from earlier. What do we got? So this is early in the morning, pre-market. So we were bullish. We came down. We tested that support, and we should be pretty familiar with this pattern by now. So we went bearish, tested that support, bearish, bearish. Almost made it down to that support. Bullish. Gets a little choppy here. Oh, okay, and that's how the day ends. So some choppiness, but some kind of bearish leaning choppiness, right? Because again, we get these bullish spurts, but they're not able to kind of carry the price up. Right? They seem to you hit this support, you get this bullish bounce, and then things go bearish. You kind of get this bullish or support bounce again, and so on. So not the most bullish of indications, right? Because again, you don't really want, and I think that's a decent way to think of it. Like you don't want to expend all of this bullish oomph this bullish liquidity on simply getting over those resistances, because you're going to need some left in the tank to be able to continue that with bullish performance. So for now, we have a lukewarm setting here on futures, but one that is truthfully probably leaning a little bearish. If we start getting more bearish prints over these next 15 minutes or so, then probably another test of 6,476 or this LDPM L7 is likely. But for now, it seems like we're really using the LDPM L6 and L5 as support, keeping price mostly just hanging out there. So, all right, well, actually, let's check this. So we're still struggling a little bit. We're doing another attempt to cross over. That would be exciting. Oh, maybe. Not yet, but all right, let's keep an eye on. Next up, we have Bitcoin on the 15 as well. We can see a very similar story. So we had that bullish. We test, see, like, kind of don't want this sort of meandering at these crossovers. Test. So we keep using that LDPM L7 as support. We eventually lose the support, regain a little bit of it. And since then, it's mostly been like this mix. I have to sneeze. I'll probably have to edit that out. But so we're here at LDPM L5, testing that support again. So price goes up, we lose it, we get this bearish flow, we test this support, and now we seem to be bouncing back up. And so again, it's bullish, but it's not the most bullish, as hand wavy as that is. But again, with that bullish liquidity, you really want to see you want to see spot taking advantage of that bullish liquidity, so when we start kind of being bullish but spot down and repetitively testing that support, some things to consider. But if you're a simple man like me, I see green, and so the price is turbulence, bumpy, but as long as the LDPS candles are green, then ultimately the price should resolve on the upside. So that's that, and we see another real quick test here. Oh, big crossover. All right, we can see that LDPM moving down, kind of getting out of the way of that bullish liquidity here on the 15. And then let's check, and then there we go. So there we go, perfect. So now we can be definitely more convinced that spot is just going to go up. We tested that support. We got snagged a little bit, but now we're making a getaway. So we're making use of that bullish liquidity, except maybe not. Wow. Actually, I can't believe we just got that. Wow. So there you go. We are not, so the price was simply not capable of, it ran through all of that bullish liquidity simply to get over the resistance there, and we are seeing the consequence of that. That was actually quite startling. So again, to recap though, when we were watching that bullish LDPS try to reach over the resistance, we mentioned that the overall kind of precedence that had been set so far is this bearish liquidity. And so this bullish candle sort of seemed like a one-off, and it was struggling to get over that resistance. It did, as we saw right as we swapped back, it looked like it was moving up, and then it looks like the legs got chopped out from underneath it. And we saw immediately the candle turn like blood red bearish. And that is now much more in line with the precedence that has been set, especially over the past day. We can see moving up into earnings, this bearish liquidity through liquidity flow and liquidity amount. And so now I think downside is definitely the cemented response for NVDA. So definitely interesting. I'm definitely going to keep an eye out and keep looking at it as this develops. But wowza. It seemed very timed. I mean, that was a very eager, aggressive ass that just stepped in. All right. Wow, very, very interesting. What's EOG? Yeah, the tides do be changing. Yeah, look at that. So again, now unfortunately, this is one of those situations where things are now bearish, right? So we're gonna scribble out these. And I guess this is the fun of having a very mega, very in the news earnings. You might have people who are sort of waiting for certain moments. But we can see here the bearish liquidity on ES futures definitely brought right now just straight down to that LDPML7 support. Oh, wow. Right, also here on Bitcoin, outright to LDPML7. And NVDA has surpassed LDPML7 quite distinctly. It's not interested. So, well, so, all right, that's that. That's a very more fun than usual after hours market dive with NVIDIA earnings. Um, Phenomenal. Good work. And and unfortunately it does highlight the, when you're in these very hectic environments, like you do kind of have to start piecing the puzzles together. And this one, broke my ankles a little bit if but I mean, I don't know if I would have gotten long, truthfully. I don't like this whole precedence is bearish liquidity and we're just kind of now looking at one candle. And it is like it broke above and but I don't know. But now the name of the game now is just to monitor and it's downside as long as that candle remains red. So we'll keep an eye out on it. So all right, guys. Happy after hours market dive. Thanks for joining. And if you like this content, obviously let me know in the comments below if you want to see anything else, any other kind of content. Earnings is actually pretty cool. Maybe do live LDPM, LDPS reviews during other earnings. Let's actually before we go, let's look like a 3 minute. Yeah, I'm just curious. 8 minute maybe. Anything interesting? See exactly when they stepped in, but no. I like my 15 minute. Nothing. Okay. Well, that's that. So cool. Alright guys. Thanks for joining. And I will see you tomorrow. Till then.